welcome to A Course in Miracles Help. So hard to know where to start with this, but what we're going to talk about today is the first workbook lesson here. So let's try to do this properly here. This one right here. This is what we're going to work on. I've read all of these other ones quite a few times, and we'll incorporate them as we go, but it'll be kept organic. The workbook for students is really where the rubber hits the road and where the most change fundamentally will happen, because you'll have to accept some rather large concepts that perhaps don't make sense to us in the world that we've understood so far. But my job, what I see, is to help you through this journey and to find a way to make everything make more sense, because it's going to be, some of these you're going to have to just make cognitive leaps that you really need somebody that's been there before to help, because it's just really hard to understand when you read it the first time. Okay, so with that in mind, we will begin. The first workbook lesson, called Nothing I See Means Anything. So I'm not even going to try to explain it right now. We're going to go into an analogy that will help this make more sense. So the analogy we're going to use is Plato's cave, a very basic form of it. I think the best place to start is with some context before. Plato's cave was not his only idea, was not an idea that was just spawned out of just Plato's or his teacher, who was Socrates' mind. There was a lot of people before that kind of played with this idea. Let's talk about this concept of what's up here first. So this picture, I kind of liked it because this looks like light that's just sort of pure light. And the concept of a pure light world or just a uniform world was very core to what Plato believed, because Plato believed that there was the world of the forms and the world of perfection that was above the world that we see. Our senses can't be relied upon. That's why Plato had such a large role for geometry and mathematics, because it didn't rely on the world. He saw the world as something that was giving us imperfect forms of what we knew as ideas, but were being put into the world as imperfect. So, but really what we want to focus right now is this. The first person that really talked about a perfect, I hate to call it a perfect world, but a world that is completely divergent from the world we see is Parmenides. And that's probably not true, actually. But he's the first one we have examples of saying that everything of the world that Plato calls a cave, or the world that we see, is Parmenides. Because Parmenides said that this is all illusion, and that the only thing true was what was up here. And Parmenides said that this oneness that existed was there before time began. There was no becoming. It just always was, always will be, is unchanging, unmoving, and just is. And he has a beautiful poem that expresses these ideas. So that's the first piece. The second piece, the pre-Socratic thinker that before Plato that would have been probably most responsible for the idea, was Empedocles. And he first used this term of the caved-in world, that the world itself was this sort of separated world that is not the reality of what we're supposed to be in. He actually said, Empedocles said, that we are clothed in alien flesh on this world, and that this isn't where we're supposed to be. We're supposed to be in this world. So with that in mind, actually I'm going to use one more. Also Brahman. there's a million, by the way, not a million, but there's many different examples of what we're talking about here. But these are the ones that I think that will probably most resonate with people. Brahman is the same idea that everything is one, everything is uniform, and that anything other than that is illusion. And actually, let's use the word atom too. Brahman. Do we want to use that right now? Atman? Yeah, let's use Atman. Atman's the concept of having a singular entity within this light. So within this light, there's these singular, and that's a poor way to show it. Actually, the best way to show it will be this next picture. I'll go to this one. So Atman would be like this. Atman would be like this. And we'll come back to this picture in a second. But for now, think of Atman as one division. I don't know if you guys remember this, but this was the movie The Mummy. This light was coming in from outside. It hit this mirror and bounced around the room in order to give light into a dark place. So Atman, just keep in mind, this bouncing mirrors, one of these is like an Atman, which we call a human being. So that would be this guy. Let's go back now.